John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on November the 20th in the year of our Lord 2025. Let me just jump over here to my channel here on Rumble, Murtech on Rumble. This is the video we're going over tonight, 1752. It says upcoming, but as you know, you're actually watching it. Let me go ahead and click on that, close out the live chat, slide down here, and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. Okay, we have information from Dr. Steve Turley, The Real Adogg, Wendy Bell Radio, and X22 Report. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs here to Demi Thangton. Okay, just started following my channel. Mishkat15 just started following my channel. Adam O'Broccoli, okay, just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Ms. Flintstone17 reposted my daily news wrap-up from last night. Debbie BS reposted my podcast from last night, episode 1751. Uncloudy, Who's Asking, and Foxy Grandma commented on my episode 1751. Debbie BS commented on my extra 535A, 535B, 535C, 536A, and my extra with Newsmax and Sky News Australia. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments and reposting my videos. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. There we go. And incidentally, I do have one of those little thumbs up icons right here below the video that you're watching right now. So if you'd like to slide down and click that, that would be fantastic. Okay, let's see what Dr. Steve Turley has to say about you won't believe what Elon Musk just did. I might believe it, but let's see what he has to say about it.
Back into the White House, and what he's planning for 2026 will send shockwaves through every swing district in America. After months of brutal feuding with Donald Trump, Elon Musk has officially buried the hatchet, and he's opening his wallet wider than ever for the Republicans and the midterms. We're talking tens of millions of dollars, massive digital infrastructure, and a political operation Democrats have no answer for. Stick with me to the very end of this video because you'll see exactly how Musk plans to flip the 2026 midterms, why his reconciliation with Trump changes everything, and what this means for the future of conservative governance in America. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another wonderful day in the glorious golden age that you made possible back on November the 5th. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The bros are back together. Last night, Elon Musk made his first public White House appearance since his dramatic exit back in May, attending a black tie state dinner with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman alongside President Trump. The two billionaires who spent the summer trading vicious attacks on social media were suddenly smiling, shaking hands, and signaling to the political world that the war is officially over. Sources close to both men say that the reconciliation began quietly in September at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk, with Trump telling associates by October that their relationship was good and that he really liked Elon. He's always liked Elon. Now, Musk is publicly reciprocating, and as it turns out, he's preparing to go all in for Republicans in 2026. The New York Times is reporting as of today, in a rather panicked piece, that Musk has actually already donated $15 million to Republican super PACs since last June. On June 27th, he wrote 3 checks, $5 million to Trump's MAGA Inc., $5 million to the Senate Leadership Fund, and $5 million to the Congressional Leadership Fund. These donations alone, made by Musk, mark the single largest individual contributor to both the Senate and House Republican super PACs in the first half of 2025. And as it turns out, it's just the beginning. It's not even the tip of the iceberg. The Times is reporting that Musk plans to make massive contributions to Republicans all throughout 2026, which means that he has officially abandoned his effort at going third party with the newly created America Party. He's already given over $40 million to America PAC, and it looks like that money is going to go into Republican efforts in the midterms and gubernatorial elections as well. He's already publicly endorsed Byron Donalds for Florida governor. And it looks like he's going to play a comparable force in 2026 as he did in 2024. Again, I do not think we can even come close to overstating what a formidable force Elon was in 2024 and promises to be again in 26. Elon was the single largest individual political donor in 24. He spent nearly $280 million to support Trump and allied Republicans. But the key here is that Musk isn't just writing checks. He's bringing something Republicans have never had before, a Silicon Valley level digital operation combined with a government efficiency message that resonates across party lines. Now, during his time leading DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, Musk eliminated 260,000 federal jobs and established a blueprint for cutting bureaucracy that's become a rallying cry for Republican candidates nationwide. Sources are telling the New York Times that Musk's allies are now planning major political activities around the DOGE brand heading into 2026. They're building out digital advertising networks, they're mobilizing grassroots donors through X, and they're creating targeted campaigns in swing districts where the efficiency message polls the strongest. So this isn't traditional Republican politics. This is tech industry disruption applied to electoral strategy. And Republican strategists are privately ecstatic. Wait until you see this. But first, gang, I didn't realize this. But did you know that U.S. life expectancy?
Okay, he's going to a commercial.
So over 900. We'd be cupping your all natural right core. Today, right core for up to 2.33. So midterms. One GOP operative told NBC News that Musk's involvement is an absolute game changer for 26, and it may rewrite the rules of midterms, which always favor the opposition to the party in power in the White House. We do have to remember that over the course of our 250-year history, only 3 times has the party that's been in the White House actually gained seats in a midterm. The Congressional Leadership Fund and Senate Leadership Fund, the 2 most powerful Republican super PACs, they now have their largest donor fully engaged and reconciled with Trump to boot. And the math is as simple as it is terrifying for the Democrats. Trump's MAGA Incorporated has already amassed $177 million in the first half of 2025, bringing total available resources close to $200 million. And then Musk's growing contributions, his America PAC infrastructure, and his ability to shape narratives on X to 550 million users, it all has an asymmetric advantage that Democrats just simply cannot even come close to matching. But more than that, Musk was absolutely integral to a major faction of the Trump coalition, a major wing of Trump's coalition, and that's what many call the Tech Trad Alliance. So this is the growing alliance between social conservatives, traditionalists, on the one hand, and Silicon Valley tech leaders, the rise of so-called new tech right, on the other. So we're seeing with Elon that there's a group of ultra-wealthy, ultra-innovative tech pioneers who are all in on building a new civilizationalist world dedicated to faith, family, and freedom. And there's significant overlap between Silicon Valley technologists and social conservative traditionalists. They both exemplify a shared faith in cosmic order, a belief that the universe is coherent, comprehensible, it's not random. They both affirm that human beings have a destiny, that life is meaningful, that we're meant to produce and economically flourish, that all this green nonsense is just that, nonsense, and that we need to take steps to reverse the collapse in birth rates around the world, which, of course, religious conservatives are key to doing. The single most accurate predictive indicator for fertility rates around the world is religious commitment, most especially here in the United States. Red states that have an inordinate number of conservative religionists have double the fertility as secular liberal blue states. And so this tech-trad alliance is proven to be one of the most formidable forces for the future of a rising conservative world. Elon Musk and Donald Trump have officially ended their feud, and the political implications are staggering. The world's richest man, who spent $250 million electing Trump in 2024, is preparing to deploy tens of millions more, sophisticated digital operations, and the full power of this tech-trad alliance to secure Republican victories in 2026. Democrats spent the summer celebrating prematurely the Trump-Musk split, convinced it would fracture the tech-trad coalition. And instead, they're now facing a united front with unprecedented financial firepower and technological sophistication. The reconciliation dinner at the White House wasn't just about burying the hatchet. It was about launching the most sophisticated, well-funded Republican midterm operation in modern history. The 2026 battlefield just shifted dramatically in the Republicans' favor, and Democrats have no idea what's about to hit them.
All right. I think that's great news, and that's why I wanted to share it with you folks. Now, you may hear something about this on the mainstream media, but it won't be described as well as Dr. Steve Turley described it. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Let's hear some information here about kefia. Interesting stuff here.
New research says over 80% of Americans and 3/4 of Trump voters support America First international assistance.
According to a new poll by McCullough, one of President Trump's pollsters, Americans across the country support assistance designed to root out fraud, tamp down terrorism, secure our borders, support our small farmers, and feed starving children.
And over 70% of Trump voters believe that President Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize if he creates a world where almost no child starves to death.
This is the type of assistance we can get behind. Many people will try to stop him, but only President Trump can turn America First international assistance into a reality. If he does it, a Nobel Prize is in his future.
All right, and I believe that. Okay, let's move down here to the real Adogg. Hakeem Jefferies loses his mind when he realizes he's in the Epstein files. All right, let's see what the real has to say.
Just
about
Democrats. He said, this is
back it up here to the beginning here for you. All right, let's go.
All right, y'all, we are back with another video. I definitely had to bring y'all this one because here go the Democrats again. It's pretty funny how they all worried about the Epstein files all of a sudden, but when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was in office the last 4 years, we didn't hear anything about the Epstein files. Now, all of a sudden, under President Trump, they want to talk about the Epstein files. Now, remember, they weren't talking about this before the shutdown. Now that they lost the shutdown, they were like, okay, what are we going to go up to next? Oh, let's talk about the Epstein files. Come to find out, look like Hakeem Jefferies, was getting money from Jeffrey Epstein, and we got proof of that. And then, like President Trump already said before, that he told Pam Bundy to release everything credible. Now, President Trump just made another bombshell announcement, pretty much telling Congress, hey, release all the files. Because that's all they want to talk about, because President Trump been winning, like stopping wars, peace deals, just all type of great stuff that President Trump has been doing. And now all the Democrats want to focus on is the Epstein files. So, I mean, like I said, this right here just got in the hand. And, of course, you see Marjorie Taylor Greene. And like I said before, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think now she's mad that President Trump called her a traitor. Now, he ain't talking about just because she's by her thinking on her own. He talking about as a traitor as far as before all of this, you wasn't going to CNN talking about me. You wasn't going on The View, especially The View, who slandered this man 24/7. And she's over there laughing with them. She's going on CBS. She's going all the way on the leftist networks. like with people who constantly like, talk about this man and he has to sue him. That's the reason he called you a traitor. No matter what you used to do, she keeps saying, well, I did this for him. That's fine. You did that for him. But at the same time, if you go behind their back and then you going over there, with people that's slandering him and laughing and with him, it's like, man, well, you a traitor. What you doing? But I know everybody got their own thing about that. But we're going to get to it. Like I said, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing so much support. And shout out to the one that always let me know in the comment section that you watched their entire video. Please let me know down below under this video that you did. Stay to the end. Subscribe to the channel. And let's get straight into this, y'all. And let's start out right here what President Trump said about Eric Daughter. He said, just now, President Trump, pretty much saying that who Democrats claim for weeks has something to hide in the Epstein files, just instructed Republicans to vote to release the Epstein files. Because at this point, President Trump said, I'm just tired of this. You just did what y'all want. I'm just going to release everything. Because he was trying to protect the victims and stuff like that. The reason why he wasn't trying to do that. But he said at this point, if y'all going to keep putting, just release everything then. And then once they release everything and people's feelings get hurt and stuff, then they're going to be like, oh, it's Donald Trump's fault. It's like it don't really matter. They're going to blame him regardless. Then they said within a matter of hours, this issue will be out of the news cycle. You played yourself, Democrats. And he said, P.S., you don't actually care about the victim, which they don't, because if they care about the victim, they would have released it under Joe Biden. But they wanted to wait until President Trump got into office and say something about it. That was their whole plan. Or you wouldn't have been silent on this from 2021 to January of 2025. So here go President Trump in the Oval Office going off on one of the reporters asking him about Epstein. Like, President Trump was not playing around. Let's check this out.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind. It's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers.
Now you hear President Trump say Bill Clinton. Why they ain't going after Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton was at the island over 28 times. He's in a dress on a picture on Jeffrey Epstein wall as soon as you walk in the house, but they got nothing to say about Bill Clinton. They won't say anything about Bill Clinton. It's just all President Trump. They ain't saying nothing about Bill Clinton. They ain't saying nothing about Bill Gates. They ain't saying about none of these other Democrats. They just want to just throw President Trump in it. I mean, I just don't get it. Obviously, you can see straight through what they trying to do. So you tell me out of all these people, they ain't going to say nothing about Bill Gates. Where's Hillary Clinton?
Ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no.
Yeah, we just found out today, and I'm going to get to that in just a second about the money that Jeffrey Epstein gave Democrats. They didn't know this right here was going to come out, but we're going to get to that in just a second. Let President Trump keep going.
Money to me, but he gave money to Democrats.
Yep.
And people are wise to your hoax, and ABC's your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible, and you're not credible as a reporter. So I've answered your question. You should go and look at the Democrats who received money from Epstein, who spent their time. Larry Summers was with him all the time. That creep of the fund guy was with him all the time. What's his name? Who? Reid Hoffman. I don't know Reid Hoffman, but I know he spends a lot of money on the radical left. Reid Hoffman, in my opinion, should be under investigation. He's a sleazebag. And those are the people, but they don't get any press, they don't get any news, and you're not after the radical left because you're a radical left network. But I think the way you ask a question with the anger and the meanness is terrible. You ought to go back and learn how to be a reporter.
There you go, right there. And see, here's the thing. President Trump is exactly right. He's like,
All right. Seems like Donald certainly has a way with words when he's putting somebody in their place. I don't know. Maybe it's my imagination. Let me know what you think in the comments, folks, or the chat. Here we
why
go.
y'all ain't going after Reid Hoffman? Why y'all ain't doing any press about Bill, especially Bill Clinton? Been to the island over 28 times. He's on a wall in a dress. And y'all ain't got no questions to Bill Gates. Where's the interview, CNN? Why y'all ain't got Bill Gates? I mean, Bill Gates. You got Hillary, Bill Clinton. It's like, where's Bill Clinton at? Why y'all ain't did no interviews on Bill Clinton? Say, hey, Bill, why you been to the island over 28 times? What did you do with Jeffrey Epstein? Nothing. It's just all about when you go today to CNN, ABC, and that's the reason why President Trump is so mad. He's like, where's about Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, all of them? Why y'all ain't saying nothing about them? Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, y'all ain't got nothing to say to them, but everything is surrounded about President Trump. The reason why y'all want to try to put this on him. And that's the reason why he's pissed off, and I get it. Now, here goes Scott Jennings right here, because, of course, Anna Navarro, she like to run her mouth against President Trump. And check out how Scott Jennings just takes her down.
Having email exchanges does not mean that they did something
like
criminal.
Larry Summers.
Okay, but
or Stacey Plaskett.
Yes.
The fact that they're having exchanges
exactly.
with Epstein.
That may not be criminal. I do think it is wrong. I mean, people like Deepak Chopra.
Does that
apply?
Does your concern apply to Stacey Plaskett?
Absolutely. It applies. Did you just hear me?
Across the board.
Did you just hear me say?
She should resign.
There you go again. There you go again. Trying to make this into a Democrat.
I think it's very. She was being programmed by him after the moment you said we all knew.
It's very hypocritical for you to call out the names of only the Democrats, but not apply the very same logic to everyone.
What Republican was he programmed?
Listen, hold on. You're basically saying if you're named in these documents, I guess you're saying that they should be condemned. Anna is basically saying, let it all out. But you're the only one who's making a carve out for one person, and that's Donald Trump.
There's no evidence that he had any contact with Epstein after he excommunicated him, but we do have evidence that he was programming Democrat members of Congress. Why isn't that a big deal to you guys?
I guess the point is we just don't know.
We do know that. We absolutely.
Look at Abby Phillip. We just don't know, but y'all know about Trump. You heard she say, we just don't know. So when it comes to Democrats, you don't know, but they know everything about President Trump, though. That just goes to show you, bro, like they don't care at all. They just don't care. And even Benny Johnson was talking, said that Democrats are panicked as their own party member of Congress, Stacey Plaskett, is facing growing calls to be investigated for colluding with Epstein to hurt Trump in 2019, but they don't want to talk about that. That was Scott Jennings was just saying. He said, why y'all don't want to talk about that? We don't know.
I'll tell you what, I like Adogg. He gets emotional, and what he says is you can't argue with it. If you've got any logic, okay, and common sense, you can't argue with what he says. Man, I like this guy, I really do. Okay, as you can see, I'm going to move on here. I'm like 10 minutes into this 34-minute video. The link to this is in the description box if you want to watch more of it. Just slide down and click on that link, and it'll take you directly to his video, okay? As you can see here, this video does come from Adogg. I'm subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and let's see what Wendy Bell has to say. Interesting. I'm sharing something from Wendy Bell today. That's odd. That's unusual. Okay, welcome to the sewer. Okay, I'm going to start this off right before she does the Pledge of Allegiance. I hope. I hope I got it set up right.
And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. That under God thing just kind of got me. Can you imagine what he's thinking looking down on us? Looking down from heaven at the most beautiful promised land, down to what he created, what his son gave his life for, so that you and I can be wholly imperfect and manage to slink through our lives. To see all of these things moving around, all of the corruption. Donald Trump pulled a string, you guys, thanks to you, thanks to me. He pulled a string, and it started to unravel a tapestry that I think all of us have seen in our mind's eye. We just needed the proof. And it's coming out. We're seeing with this jockeying of votes in the House of Representatives, as people like Ilhan Omar to come out and to say absolutely horrendous things about Charlie Kirk posthumously. Disgusting. Put her on the floor for censure, and then lo and behold, there are Republicans who come out of the woodwork to sink the censure. And then it's Kory Mills' turn. Kory Mills, Republican, censure. We're going to censure you. No. Other people are going to come out of the woodwork to save him. God must be looking down on us, saying, what the heck? Did I teach you nothing? Did you learn nothing? Have you seen and adapted to nothing? But I think you have to get through the ugly stuff before you get the payoff. And we are just now walking into the ugly stuff. All right, so yesterday we were talking about this Stacey Plaskett lady, right? She's from the Virgin Islands. She's a delegate. She's a member of the House. She's toxic. She's low IQ. She's sitting in literally a congressional hearing with Michael Cohen, and she's getting text messages from Jeffrey Epstein, who's watching the proceedings on C-SPAN in real time and telling her what to say. I mean, it's beyond, right? So they brought it to a floor vote. Ralph Norman did. He's like, hey, this is unbecoming. This is absolutely unbecoming. What the heck are you doing? And 3 Republicans jump on over to vote no on this. And then there are 3 others who vote present or whatever the case is. So they just don't vote. They're there, but they're not going to weigh in. And so the measure to sink her and censure her and take her off of the coveted Intelligence Committee, where she has no business being anywhere, like Ilhan Omar deserves to be anywhere near any kind of intelligence, ever an operative for Somalia. But come on in. We love having you, right? So I get an email yesterday, and it's interesting. This tells me a lot about where our finger is on the pulse of the sewer, because we've been hovering for a while. I think we're over a direct hit right now. So this gentleman named Nicholas Schmitz writes me a message. He says, Ms. Bell, I hope you are doing well. My name is Nicholas, and I work for Congressman Cloud from Texas. Thank you for your important work. I'm reaching out to let you know that Congressman Cloud voted yay on House Resolution 888, censuring and condemning Delegate Stacey Plaskett. I noticed in your show earlier today, around hour 1, you mentioned that Michael Cloud of Texas was one of 3 Republicans who voted no. Congressman Cloud was also an original co-sponsor of this resolution to censure Plaskett. I just wanted to flag for your situational awareness. I believe the other members you mentioned also voted yay in support of this motion. Well, Nicholas Schmitz, you are correct, and I appreciate you pointing out the error of my ways. There have been lots of bad information floating around on multiple websites. And it turns out that there were 3 Republicans who voted, let's just say, present on the censure of Stacey Plaskett were Don Bacon, Brian Mast, apparently, and Jim Banks. And Don Bacon, we should say, the Republican from Nebraska, also voted with Democrats to block the censure of LaMonica McIver. You guys will remember, who was accused of assaulting with her belly. Give it to me, LaMonica. Belly, like, bumped an ICE agent, right? And that is conduct unbecoming. So much for Nicholas Schmitz. We appreciate that. My situational awareness, young man, is spot on. And I did get the names wrong. And for that, I apologize. And I wanted to set the record straight. But we know what is going on. We are watching in real time what is going on. And the Republicans are behaving as the ants in the jar, but instead of being all red ants that are living in harmony together, they're black and red ants. And somebody is shaking the jar, and now they're feuding with one another. I say go for it. Have an absolute tear down, ring the bell, do it in the basement so the blood can go down the drain, knock each other out, expose it all. We're tired of it. We know that the Democrats are all going to vote as sheep. And if that offends you because you're a Democrat, it is the truth. They vote in lockstep. They march in lockstep. They take their marching orders that way. And while we're appreciative of the diversity of thought in the Republican Party, y'all are dirty as stones. Many of you. And it sucks. And we're on to you. And Donald Trump started pulling that thread, but we're going to finish the job. The stories that are coming out today, my friends, as the Republicans in Congress are feuding and self-immolating. Yes, I've got the Zippo lighter right here if they need it. We've got all sorts of stories of fraud, of theft, of all of the things that you knew were going on as your government was finger wagging you, waving magic wands of emergency orders, forcing you to stay home, prohibiting you from going to work, shutting down small businesses, but keeping open others. It made no freaking sense until it all made sense. And we made sense of it here. And we have for years. Have you heard the story about the Detroit couple who ran a plumbing company that employed something like 250 illegal aliens across 4 states that made $74 million? Don't tell me that we don't have an immigration problem in this country. Criminal, illegal, or otherwise. It's hurting America. It hurts the American worker. It hurts everything, which was the reason why the border was open. Then there's the transgender clinic in South Africa that's been forced to close. They had 1,000 transgender folks going through various iterations of transformation. And who was funding it? Yes, you were, with USAID. You know, all the good work they're doing with the hungry people. How are they going to survive without us? Well, then there's that. And finally, a second guilty plea in Minnesota in that housing services fraud case. Some dude who stole $2.7 million in Medicaid funds meant for vulnerable Minnesotans. If we want to get very sassy, we can bounce on over to the left coast, where you have an appointed attorney general named Rob Bonta, who himself is now ensnarled in some kind of an election fraud case, using campaign money to pay for legal services because now he's in hot water in a case that cost the Oakland mayor her job. And this is a guy who thinks he should be running for governor. Got it. We have a fundamental, systemic sewer problem in this country. We don't just need to bust through the pavement and reevaluate all of the lines. We need to go to the very bowels of this system, the funding, stopping the money, the grift, the fraud, the absolute craven theft from the American people. And my friends, you're going to hear voices who are talking about that today. So it is going to be a glorious broadcast. This is where I say to you, and we'll talk about Donald Trump signing the Epstein Files Transparency Act. He had a thing or two to say about that in a truth last night, as then Nancy Mace moves to censure Kory Mills. Two Republicans in the ant jar shaking it up. How does it end? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, well, let's just go ahead and move it forward here to see what she has to say about that. She'll be coming back about the 23-minute mark, 22-minute mark.
A little slow today. We need to hit the...
Here we go. 22:10.
Ho, 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 it's magic, you know.
President Trump truthing out last night that he had signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. He wrote this on Truth. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, minority leader Hakeem Jefferies, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever even speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the U.S., creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, 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 Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country. And we have been done to confuse and deflect and distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Do you think he knows? Of course he knows. Of course he knows. Democrats asked for it, they got it, and now we shall see what will happen, but pay attention to the messaging. It is a Democrat problem. He was a Democrat donor. He was a Democrat voter. He ran in Democrat circles. Democrats. Plus Epstein. Nancy Mace moves to censure Representative Kory Mills, citing alleged domestic violence, stolen valor, and conflicts of interest. A Republican from South Carolina, Mace, calling for the censure and the immediate removal of Representative Kory Mills, Florida, from the House Committee on Armed Services and the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, citing a series of alarming ethical, legal, and personal misconduct allegations. This is interesting. We understood that Stacey Plaskett was given a pass with her censure, so that somehow Kory Mills would get a pass for what Nancy Mace tried to drop yesterday. They voted on it. It did not pass. It did not happen, but we're watching this theatrical production meant to create the illusion to you that our lawmakers care about policing themselves. And they don't. They don't. They never have. If they cared about policing themselves, they would be the ones promoting term limits. They would be the ones saying, you know what, we need to get PAC money and lobbying out of our elections. We need to come up with a system where we serve the people who elect us, and we do that by not constantly running for re-election. So can we reimagine the system so that we're not always desperate for campaign contributions? We're not always trying to get other people to vote for us. Well, beyond that, they want you to believe that with these censures, and the Republicans are playing the game right now, Nancy Mace apparently lost her ever-loving mind, said dropped a tapestry of profanity on Kory Mills as she's calling for this censure on the House floor. There's some domestic violence allegations with Kory Mills and ex-girlfriend or wife or what have you. I'm not going to get into the nuances of what hasn't been proved, but it has been bounced now to some ethics committee, and that's where they're supposed to chew this stuff up. You know, as much as this is interesting to pay attention to, it's truly the money. The money is the incentive. The incentive to always be running for re-election, because you never want the money to dry up. Look, nobody got rich working in Congress before they got rich working in Congress. And now everybody's loaded, except a handful. And one of those handful is Tim Burchett. And when we come back from this short commercial break, we're going to play some audio. I've not seen the representative from Tennessee so fit to be tied. He is a Southern gentleman. He owns a farm. He talks about how it bankrupts him to send his child to school. She likes horses too, which is a costly sport. And he's like, look, I don't have riches. I'm not loaded. I don't have a 7-figure stock portfolio. So why do so many people in Congress, why is they do? Well, let's drop the hammer. He heats up the pressure, ladies and gentlemen, on Congress to ban stock trading once and for all. We'll tell you all about it coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, and we will pick this up. I'm going to share Wendy Bell in my daily news wrap-up coming up about 9:30, but I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And it's amazing, the two-faced, hypocritical Democrats and mainstream media. It's amazing how everything is on Trump. And the Democrats, according to them, can do no wrong. They're perfect angels. And if they do some wrong, it's because of Trump. Unbelievable. All right, clicking on the Rumble link, it takes us over here to Wendy Bell Radio. I am following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what's going on with X22 report. Episode 3778A. Right on schedule. Fed wants to delay cuts. The economic shift is happening. I'll tell you what, you talk about unaffordable housing and unaffordable everything else. Interest rates are tied to everything. Okay, you think a manufacturer has the money in his pocket to go out and buy new equipment? Farmers have to borrow money to get the seeds to plant, to get some of the feed for their animals until they take it to market. If the interest rate's up, the price of the product has to go up too, so that they can cover the interest rate. But let's see what X22 has to say about this.
Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum. We know from the very, very beginning, as Biden handed off the economy to Trump, Biden continually told everyone that he's handing off a very strong economy. Now, this was done on purpose because, as we know, the Fed was in line with the deep state was in line with the Fed. They're all part of the same criminal syndicate. And they knew that the numbers were completely and utterly fake. They knew the economy was in a recession, heading for a depression. And when they handed this off to Trump, they thought Trump would take a very long time in building up the parallel economic system. I do believe the only thing that has been keeping us going into a depression was Trump's tariff system and the investments that he's bringing into this country and actually lowering the fuel price. Without that, I do believe what Biden said and what was happening during that period of time, yes, we would have gone into a depression. They would have used the excuse, look, the economy was strong, Trump destroyed it. That's what they were trying to do. This is why the Fed was holding steady and they didn't want to lower the rates. And like we said, right when the shutdown was happening, they were going to use the lack of data to say, we're not going to cut the rates. And that's exactly what Jerome Powell is doing right now. He is right on schedule saying, listen, you know what? We can't really lower the rates right now because we have not that much data. We don't really know what's going on with the economy. And we might have to hold off on this one. And they're doing this on purpose. But again, it's not going to work the way they think it's going to work. You have to remember, Trump's system right now is shifting the entire economic system. And it's shifting it into his new system, away from the central bank system. And every day that passes, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, which means the central bank has less and less time to try to destroy their own system, because really that's what they're trying to do. What do you think that announcement was during the pandemic back in March? You had Prince Charles at the time, you had Klaus Schwab at the time saying, hey, this is the perfect time for the Great Reset. Their entire plan was to bring down the old system and try to restart the new system. But again, with Trump building this parallel economic system, they're actually running out of time, because what's happening with the parallel system? The economy is getting stronger and stronger and stronger every single day. And as Trump gives the people the dividend, not the stimulus, but the dividend, he's not creating new currency. He's not borrowing it from the Federal Reserve. This is money coming in from other countries. When he gives that money to the people are going to be with him. And this is going to be a major, major problem for the deep state, the central bankers. Because when you have the people with you, the people who are feeling good, they see a lot of jobs opening up. They see fuel prices coming down. If you go to the supermarket, you see inflation. It's pretty much non-existent. And I do believe that with the meat costs right now, well, we have a monopoly right now, the meat packers. They are now controlling the prices. And I do believe this is why he made the deal with Argentina, because once again, they will supply the meat, they will pack the meat, and it's going to bypass the meat packers, which means you're going to have competition. And what happens when you have competition? It drives down the prices. And I do believe this is the first method that he is using to attack the monopoly of meat packers. And remember, the ranchers, they're getting screwed every step of the way because of this monopoly. And I do believe Trump is going to be breaking it all apart. But you know something that's very interesting, and this is happening out in the UK? It looks like for the first time, the majority of British adults believe the generosity of the welfare system stops people from supporting themselves. And that is absolutely true. Not just true in the UK, but true worldwide. Now, think about this. Think about what they just realized. Is this what the central bank wants? They want you dependent on their system? So this way you never, ever go look for a job? Yes, they want everyone dependent on their system. It's much easier to control the people when you're dependent on their system, because they'll say, listen, if you want more of this, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to give up. This is what you have to do. So basically, the central bank system, they figured out a way to control the masses. Not just to enslave them in their system, but actually control them. That's what they've been doing. And like we said from the very, very beginning, the central bank right now is using the excuse that they don't have the data to make a decision on the rate cut. Geiger Capital put this out and says, BLS says it won't publish October jobs report. November jobs report rescheduled for December 16th. third world data collection. The Fed is now flying blind for their meeting on December 10th. Then he follows us up with rate cut odds just collapsed because Powell won't get the data until it's too late. So will the Fed use this excuse to say there are no rate cuts here? Now, remember, how many people are working for the Fed? 20-something thousand that have PhDs. How many economists? And actually, they want to hire 3,000 more. They can't figure anything out. Really think about this for a second. I think a monkey on the street can actually figure this one out. And I do believe in the end, no matter what they do, it's not going to work the way they think it's going to work. You see, their entire plan is to try to down their own system. Trump kind of countered everything that they're trying to do, and they're still trying to do it. But Trump, I do believe he made fun of the Fed today when he was speaking at the Saudi investment group and pretty much told everyone the Fed really doesn't do that much. Actually, they really don't. The Fed is just a waste of space because all they do is create currency. They don't really manage the economy. Do you really think they manage how many jobs are going to be? Do you really think they manage inflation? No, they cause inflation. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned, it's LiveMind1.com. Your future. They really don't do much. Actually, all they do is create currency. That's it, period, the end. Yes, they mess a lot of things up, but they really don't do anything to help we the people. And I think this is what Trump has been saying. This is what he said during the Saudi investment conference. But we'll be talking about that in just a sec. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that Stephen Miller, he revealed a shocking statistics that 40% of rent-controlled housing in New York City is occupied by foreign-born population, which means that the foreigners that are coming into this country, they are given the rent-controlled apartments and or housing, and the American citizens, they have to pay for non-rent controlled apartments or houses, which actually drives the cost up. Actually, when you bring in illegals, like we've seen, it continually drives the cost of housing up. And once you start to deport the illegals, all of a sudden you're going to see salaries, wages go up. You're going to see rent go down. You're going to see housing go down. You're going to see the opposite.
Yes.
And the deep state, the central bankers, they have caused all of this. And you can see what Trump is doing. He's bringing in more and more investment into this country every single day. This is what he put out on Truth. It's 3 posts. It says, Jensen Huang, as I promised, production of Blackwell has started. AI invented in America, made in America, built for America and the world. Jensen Huang, after less than a year, we're now manufacturing the most advanced chips for AI here in the U.S. All of this started with President Trump wanting to reindustrialize the U.S. His tariffs were a pressing agent in making this possible. Once again, Jensen says we are manufacturing in America because of President Trump. Absolutely. So basically what we're seeing right now is that manufacturing is happening and more manufacturers are coming back to this country. And they'll continue to come back to this country. And when you look at the economy, you can see the economy is really taking off. Eric Doherty put this out and said, an incredible victory. The U.S. trade deficit under Trump plummets to a year low of $59.6 billion. The experts suffer another devastating blow. Absolutely. And then when we look at the Atlanta Fed, well, the Atlanta Fed right now is projecting in the third quarter, the GDP will be at 4.2%, a massive expansion. The economy is running hot. Think about that for a second. Go all the way back to when Biden gave Trump the economy. They thought it was going to implode. And all of a sudden, Trump was able to turn this all around. And it's getting better and better. E.J. Antonio, PhD, put this out and said, Atlanta Fed, not only is GDP currently estimated to have grown 4.2% for the third quarter, but the gain is primarily driven by big increases in private spending and private investment, not government. That is very, very important because what is Trump doing?
Yes.
He's now taking the jobs, taking the investments, taking the production, and moving it from the government and moving it to the private sector. And once again, the government, by adding all these jobs, really doesn't do much. Even the production in government is not really doing much for this economy because, again, how do they do all of this? They have to borrow currency from the Federal Reserve. And if you're borrowing currency from the Federal Reserve, you're adding to the debt. People have to pay more taxes. Are you really helping the economy? No, in the long run, you're hurting it. And I do believe this is why Trump, when he was speaking at the Saudi Investment Forum, he actually made fun of the Fed, saying it's the easiest job in the world. You play golf for 28, 29 days. You just speak in front of a couple people and that's it. Take a listen to what he said here.
I love the Fed job. To me, it's the easiest job in the world. You play golf for 28, 29 days, then you go and make a little speech, tell everybody, in the case of the current guy, the wrong information because he has no clue. But if you have good instincts, it's all based on instincts. I see they want to hire 3,000 economists, 3,000, to report to the Fed chairman. What are they going to do? Take all this information? 3,000 economists. That's why they're spending $4 billion on renovating a building that should have cost $25 million to do.
So he's letting everyone know, with all these people the Fed have, all the 3,000 economists that they want to have, they really don't do much. And he's absolutely right, because really all the Fed is, the central bank system, all they do is create currency. They really have no involvement in the creation of jobs. They really have no involvement in keeping inflation down, because their system is designed to create inflation.
Yes.
And they shouldn't be in control of lowering or raising the rates whatsoever. The market should decide what the rate should be. So what does the central bank actually do? Do you really need 20,000 something people or 3,000 economists add on top of that number? Do you really need them? No, you really don't.
No.
And this is why the first two were removed from this country. And we're about to see the third one removed from this country, because once again, they do not benefit the people of this country. It doesn't benefit the country as a whole. And this is why our founding fathers from the very, very beginning, this is why they didn't put this in the Constitution. If they thought the private central bank system was the best thing ever, they would have put it in the Constitution. They specifically said the people will coin their own money. They didn't say, hey, the people will borrow their currency. And at the time, what was money? Gold and silver. Remember, they just fought a revolutionary war. They were fighting against the British government, the king. Where did the king get his money? From a private Western central bank system. And this has happened over many, many years with many, many different countries. The United States is not the first one, but right now, it might be the last one. And I do believe that with everything that Trump is doing right now, he's building the economy up so strong because he's competing with a system that doesn't work. So when you have a system that works and you're building it up and you're competing with a system that doesn't work, which system do you think is going to win? And eventually what's going to happen, it's going to become so powerful, the central bankers will not be able to stop it. And this is why yesterday when we mentioned there was 150 years of data showing that tariffs do not actually create inflation, it actually decreases inflation. The central bank is the cause of the inflation. But again, they hid this information from everyone because, again, they didn't want people to know this, because you would then say, why do we have the central bank if you're causing all this inflation? And you remember, the tariff system and the central bank system, they really don't work well together. And in the end, you really don't need the central bank if you have a tariff system. And this is what the central bankers are most afraid of. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent put this out and said, Trump has driven $20 trillion in new investments so far, the largest in American history. By comparison, Biden administration brought in only $1 trillion over a 4-year period. President Trump is laying the foundation for a golden age economy with investment returning to the United States in record amounts. And think about it. Trump is continually bringing in all this money because you have to remember the deep state, the central bankers, they've been sending the money out of this country for a very long time. If you really think about this and you step back and take a look, all these countries that were telling you, like, look, we're giving free health insurance to our people. Socialism is great. You know why it's fantastic? Because guess who is paying for it all? We, the people in this country. And now when you start to look at countries where Trump made deals with tariffs, where they don't have the upper hand anymore, they're struggling right now. They're struggling to make ends meet. Just look at Germany right now. Actually, you're going to see the whole EU. They're going to have major problems. Same thing with Canada, because they were dependent on the US to run their socialist systems. And now they have to do this on their own, which they won't be able to do because it doesn't work. And this is what the people of these countries are going to start to see. Actually, they're already starting to see it in Germany. They don't even have the funds to pay for all of this. And they're telling the people, listen, you might have to give up a couple of things.
Oh.
So you're starting to see the entire economic system shift, not just in this country, but worldwide. And this is what the central bankers do not want to happen. And they will try to stop it every step of the way. But I think in the end, no matter what they do, the people that are experiencing the new economic system, the people that are experiencing getting the dividend, the people that are experiencing getting the higher paying jobs, the people that are experiencing lower fuel costs, when they're experiencing all of this, it doesn't matter what the fake news says. It doesn't matter what the economists say. It doesn't matter what the Fed says. It doesn't matter what the D's say. When people are experiencing a better way of life, that's all you need. And the people, they'll get it. Just like they got it during Biden's time. Yeah, the fake news, the D's, the economists were telling you that everything was great. But the people went to the supermarket and said, this is awful. What is going on here? Why can't I find a job? We were in a recession. And I do believe when all's said and done, we're going to look back in time and say, yeah, the recession started during the Biden administration. They tried to pass the recession off to Trump, but Trump countered it all with his new parallel economic system. And that is what propped the country back up and which actually allowed the country to shift in a new direction and allowed us to come out of the recession. And we're almost in a depression because you have to remember, there was high inflation, high fuel costs, and the job numbers were completely and utterly fake. And there were no jobs being created in the private sector. So how possibly could the economy be doing well? Yeah, if you're looking at it as an illusion, it was doing very well. In reality, we were in a recession. And Trump has brought us out of this recession. And now he's moving us into a new area that has never been seen before. And it's going to get better and better as time goes on. I think the year of 2026 is going to be absolutely amazing. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
Go ahead and pause this and click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from X22 Report. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, I do want to jump over here and share some information here from crypto.com. Interesting stuff here. Let's just take a listen to it.
Let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer emerging, it's here. And this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform.
They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there.
Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again.
Okay, let's jump back over here, and I've copied the live chats into a comment. Let me go ahead and make this permanent part of this video. As we know, the live chats just kind of vaporize into cyberspace when the live stream is over. Okay, as a reminder, folks, these videos that I've shared with you here come directly from the producer's channel. I'm going to be sharing the remainder of Wendy Bell's video in my daily news wrap-up. And these videos that I share with you here in my podcast are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. This is your one-stop shop for information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. All right? Now, I would like to share all this information with you, but I just don't have time in this hour podcast. That's why I put together my daily news wrap-up so I can share more information with you. Let me jump over here and just take a look at this and share it with you here. Okay, we've got information from Barry Cunningham, as I said, Wendy Bell, X22 report, chicks on the right, and I'm going to add some more information to that. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and meet me back here at 9:30 and we'll get that started for you. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for spending your time with me this evening. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again tomorrow or later. See you again later about 9:30. And may God bless.